Up until this point, our Express apps have sent back completely unstyled HTML, no JavaScript included, no CSS, just pure HTML. In this video, I'm going to show you how we can start to include assets like a style sheet or some JavaScript. And I'm also going to show you how we can dry up our templates using what are known as partials. So let's get started. I'm using the same app that I've been using for the past two videos, where we have our app.js and we have three main routes. We have the root route, which renders the home.ejs template that has an H1 and the adorable image of the Pomsky. And then we also have the fall in love with / thing, the variable thing route, which will then render the love.ejs template, and it will display you fell in love with, and then whatever we wrote in the route, and then an if statement, and then a little paragraph at the bottom. And then we also have the /posts route that renders the posts.ejs template, and inside of that, we have two loops. Now let's say that we want to include some styles. So as you know by now, I like the color purple. Let's say I wanted to make all of the bodies purple. All the text color on all the different templates should be purple. Let's start with the post page. And what I could do is include a style tag. So that's style, opening and closing. And then I can write my style in here, body, and we'll do color purple, just like that, and save. And remember that this isn't really the ideal way of including styles. And I'm showing it to you first for a reason, because we're going to refactor it and improve it in just a moment. But let's just make sure it works. So color purple on the body. Let's start the server, node app.js. Let's go over to the browser and refresh on the posts page. And you can see we get purple. And if I went to another route, I don't get purple, and that's because they're totally separate templates, and we only added the style tag to the post template. So if I want everything to be purple on all three templates, I could add in another style tag in home.ejs and the same style tag on love.ejs and save, restart the server, refresh my page, and I get a purple H1 here. And if I go to fall in love with Rusty, I also get purple text here from that style tag. There are two main issues facing us here. One is the issue that this code is being repeated 3 different times. If we want identical styles on 3 different templates, there has to be a better way to accomplish that, and there is, and we're going to address that second. We're going to start by addressing this issue of using the style tag, which is not a good idea. What we want to do instead is use an external style sheet and link to that style sheet using the link tag. So I'm going to write the link tag first, which won't work because we don't have a style sheet yet, but we'll create that second. So link, and we need to provide rel equals style sheet, and then href, and this needs to be the name of our style sheet, and we'll just call it app.css. Okay, so this is only on the posts.ejs template. We'll save now, and let's go create that app.css. Except rather than creating it in the same directory as our app.js, we're actually going to make another directory where we'll put all of our style sheets, all the JavaScripts that we write, and any other assets that we want available, and we're going to call it public. And they can be named anything, but public is a very common and conventional name for this directory. We'll make sure we're in the right place, and then make directory public. And we'll also create inside of public /app.css, which is the name of our file here, and save. And you might be thinking, okay, wait a minute, shouldn't this be public /app.css? And unfortunately, the answer is no. We'll leave it as app.css. We'll tell Express that our style sheets and JavaScripts are inside of the public directory, and it will serve the public directory up for us so that we can link to things by just using the file names. So I'll show you that in just a moment. Let's open up the public /app.css file and add in some styles. So let's do something different. We'll do body where background is going to be hideous, but we'll do background as yellow and color still purple. Okay, so now we have a really gross style sheet defined. We can close out of here, and we'll know if it's working if this post.ejs template shows up with a hideous yellow background and purple text. It's not going to work just yet, but I'll show you just so that you see that for yourself. So node app.js, and we go back and refresh the page, and we need to go to the post page. and we don't get anything. And if I open up the console here, I get an error that says failed to load resource. The server responded with the status of 404, and it couldn't find app.css. And the reason for this is pretty straightforward. When we create a web app and we use Express to start a web server, it doesn't just automatically serve every single file that it sees. It doesn't know that we want to do that. And the default is to not serve anything at all aside from the views directory. So if we want anything else, we need to tell Express explicitly, hey, I need you to serve my public directory or whatever other directories we have. We need to tell Express to do that. And luckily, Express provides an easy way for us to do that. Inside of our app.js, up top, I'm going to add in app.use, and then in parentheses, express.static, and then in parentheses again, the word public, which is the name of our directory. And this will tell Express to serve the contents of the public directory. And now if I restart my server and refresh the page over here, close the console out, we get our yellow background and our purple font, and we don't get any errors in the console. And if you want to include those style sheets on other pages, we would just go and copy this link tag and put it up top. And of course, we could have multiple style sheets as well if we wanted to, and we could just link to them by giving them different names and making sure they're both in the public directory. Before we move on to partials, I want to take a moment to show you a really quick thing we can do to make our code a little bit shorter. Notice that we're typing home.ejs, love.ejs, post.ejs. This is really minor, but we can actually tell Express that we're going to use EJS ahead of time, and we can leave these off and just write home and love, and it will automatically expect the files to be EJS files. And to do that, we use app.set view engine, and then we pass the second argument as EJS, just like that. And if we save, restart the server, it will now expect those files to be EJS files. And if we refresh, nothing should change at all. It still works. And now we don't have to explicitly say .ejs. So that's a very minor change. The next thing I'm going to show you is a little more significant, and it's going to help us dry up our templates. Right now, we have this style sheet, this link to the style sheet, repeated in all the templates. But there's also something much more significant that we're missing, which is our entire HTML boilerplate. We're missing the doc type here, and we're missing our HTML tags and all the regular boilerplate that we expect. Head, and inside of the head, we need the title, and we'll give our app a title. We'll call it demo app, and then we need the body as well. And then inside the body, we should be putting this content. And then we need to do the exact same thing on all of the other files. And I'm not going to do that because it's a waste of time. And there's an easier solution where we don't have to copy this code and put it on every single template. Just like we shouldn't have to copy this single link tag and put that on every single template as well. And the way that we get around that is by using what are called partials. And partials are basically files, templates that we can write that we can include in other templates. We'll create a template that looks like this. So we'll have the upper half of our boilerplate, everything in the head. This will almost always be the same on every single page that we create on a given site, the same style sheet, the same title. So we'll just make this its own template. And then at the bottom, we'll make this its own template here. And then in between the two, we'll have our content that changes depending on what template we're on or depending on what page we're on. So what we'll do is basically turn this into its own template, turn this into its own template, and then we just use those templates, we refer to them in each one of these files. So we would say something like, and this isn't valid code, but we would do something like include header template, and then at the bottom, we do the same thing except for the footer. So we need to create those templates or partials. And to do that, we'll make a new directory inside of views, and we'll call that directory partials. So we'll do a make directory views/partials, just like that. And then inside of partials, we're going to make two files. And the first one will be views/partials/header.ejs. And then we'll make another partial, exact same, except footer. And you could also call these like top.ejs and bottom.ejs, first and second, whatever you want to call them, but header and footer is definitely the standard name. So I'll make those two files and then I'll open them up. And this time I'll just go over here and open up the header. And I'm going to copy in this boilerplate. Just cut it out and put this over here inside of header. So this is what we want at the top of every page. And then inside of footer, all that we really want is the bottom of our template, which is just the body and the closing HTML tag, just like that. And if we wanted something else, so I'll do something a little more obvious. Let's just do a paragraph at the bottom that says something like trademark or some other footer text that we would see on a website. We'll just leave it at that. And so we expect to see this on every page where we include the footer partial. Okay, so the two partials are done. I'll close those out, fix this one just like this. All right, save. And now we want to include the partials. So let's start with our love.ejs. And now we'll include that header partial. So we need to use a new bit of code. In EJS tags, we write include, and then the name of the file, which is just header. And we don't have to add .ejs because it's already looking for EJS files. So just include header. And this actually won't work right away, and I'll show you why. Let me put the footer one as well in here. And if I start the server, make sure I'll just clear some space here, and then node app.js. And if we refresh the page, and this is only included on the love.ejs template, so we need to go to /fall in love with Rusty, and we get an error, no such file or directory, EJS demo /views /header.ejs. So this tells us two things. One, it knows it's supposed to be an EJS file. It's looking for header.ejs, but it's looking directly in the views directory. But we want it to look in views /partials /header.ejs, as you can see here, views /partials. So we need to change our path here a little bit, and we need to change it to say partials /header and partials /footer. However, that's still not going to fix it. And I'll show you one more time what happens when I start this up again and refresh. The partial has been included just fine. And if we go to the elements, you can see that we get the footer at the bottom, and we have the body and HTML closing tags, but the styles aren't being applied. It should be purple and yellow, and it's just black and white. And if we look in the head, we do have our link tag, and it's linking to a file called app.css. But this isn't working. And if we look at the sources tab, you'll see that we have this Rusty file that was sent back, and it has our header, and it has the main content, and it also has the footer. So this is like the one assembled file, because remember, we send one thing back, one response. So it makes this one file for us with our three partials, or our two partials plus our content, and it sends this back. And then there's also this app.css that's totally empty. And what that means is that we've linked to our app CSS incorrectly. So it's just appearing as an empty file. And it's a really simple fix. All that we need to do is add a slash right here. I went through all that for a reason, which is to show you the importance of paths and making sure that we have our paths set up correctly. So there's a difference between app.css and /app.css. When we add the slash, it basically says look for app.css not in the same directory that you're in right now, but in the root directory. So let me show you a better illustration. Right now, it's looking for app.css in the same directory as this Rusty template. Now, if I go save it with the slash and restart the server, and I go back here and I refresh now, take a look, our styles work. Also notice we have the file with the HTML, and we have our app.css that is now outside of that directory. It's not in the same folder, and it has our correct styles, which means that it found the file that we needed it to find. So that slash seems like it's very minor, but it's actually an important detail. So slash and then the name of our style sheet, anything inside the public directory. So eventually it will look something like /stylesheets /app.css, and then we'll have a script tag where we have our source equal to /scripts /main.js. And so we'll have inside the public directory a scripts directory and a style sheets directory. For now though, we only have one style sheet, so we'll leave it like this. Let's quickly finish up and add in the partials to the other files as well. So in this one, our home.ejs, we'll paste that in, and then at the bottom, we'll paste it in as well and change it to be footer and save. And then post.ejs, same thing. We want the header and footer, and get rid of that as well, on all of the files, partials/footer. And that should be good for us. Let's refresh, restart the server, go back here, and this should look the same. Now if we go to the root path, we also get our styles. And if we go to /posts, we get the styles there as well. All right, so let's recap all of this. One of the first things that we did was create the public directory and add a style sheet inside of it. And in order for that to work, we had to make sure to tell Express to serve the public directory. Then once we did that, we made a small change, which was to tell Express that all of our templates will be EJS unless otherwise noted. So we don't have to write .ejs after every template name. And then the big change that we made was introducing partials. So we made a directory called partials, can be named anything. Some people will call it layouts. Partials is also very common. And then we had two files, our header and our footer. And the whole point of this was just to help dry up our code so that we didn't have to add this to every single template. Instead, we go to our template, and all that we have to do is write include partials/header. And we're not limited just to header and footer. We might have one for the nav bar. If we have a nav bar on every single page, we could have another partial that we include called partials/nav. So there aren't any rules on what we can and can't do, but most common are header and footer. All right, so that's it.